Hong Kong is set to enact its own law to safeguard national security, finally fulfilling the region's constitutional duty. Nearly 27 years after the handover of the region, the outstanding loopholes in this regard are to be plugged with a bill called Safeguarding National Security. After a month-long public consultation period, the bill, as stipulated on Article 23 of the Basic Law of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, was introduced in the Legislative Council on March the 8th with majority support. It's not passed yet, but it has come a long way. Now, on the heels of the bloody unrests that rocked the city in 2019 and 2020, the central government in Beijing enacted a National Security Law, or NSL, for the region in June 2020. So why has the region introduced its own bill? What are the new offences that have been outlawed, and why are Western governments and mainstream media making so much noise about the bill as they did nearly 4 years ago when the NSL was about to be introduced? I'm pleased to be joined to discuss the bill from Hong Kong by 4 guests. They are Kam Man Foon, member of the Tuen Mun District Council of Hong Kong; Nixie Lam, a Legislative Council member; Lawrence Ma, barrister and chairman of the Hong Kong Legal Exchange Foundation; and Edward Lehman, co-founder and chairman of Lehman Bush Hong Kong, a law firm. Gentlemen and Ms. Lam, welcome to The Point. First of all, as I said, this very much is a déjà vu for me, because almost exactly 4 years ago, when the national security law that was enacted by the central government was about to be introduced for Hong Kong, we had the same kind of discussion and debates. Oh, Hong Kong is dying, it's going to be in a period of fear and terror, that businesses are leaving. But surprisingly, we did a little bit of research, and according to the latest statistics, I'm just going to show you some of them. Hong Kong actually ranked #1 globally in its investment environment for 2023. That's according to a third-party organization's study for last year. As for enterprise conditions, meaning how well businesses go in the region, Hong Kong ranked #2 globally. Hong Kong's size of foreign direct investment inflows, meaning how attractive this place is for foreign direct investment, it ranked #4 globally for the year 2020, and the number of overseas and mainland companies establishing or expanding their business in Hong Kong increased by nearly 30% over the previous year. Talk about rather the background of this legislation, because if you read the international media, what is the general tone? Basically is people saying, look, Beijing is tightening its grip on Hong Kong, it's taking away the freedom it has promised to the region. But if you look at Article 23 of the Basic Law of Hong Kong, which is part of the constitutional order of Hong Kong, and that law was enacted in 1990, nobody said anything about that law. And the Article 23 of the Basic Law says exactly this. It stipulates that the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region shall enact laws on its own to prohibit any act of treason, secession, sedition, subversion against the central people's government, or theft of state secrets, and to prohibit foreign political organizations or bodies from conducting political activities in the Hong Kong SAR, and to prohibit political organizations or bodies of the Hong Kong SAR from establishing ties with foreign political organizations or bodies. So it's very clear. Basically, Article 23 of the Basic Law, enacted in 1990, says specifically that Hong Kong has this duty to enact this law on its own to safeguard the national security of China. Nixie, how do you look at this obligation, which is long overdue?
Yeah, I think it's quite troublesome for a lot of Hong Kong residents. As we can see, in the earlier days, I think a lot of people just didn't really understand what is national security law. They didn't really care, because Hong Kong sort of like, it looks pretty calm. But if you look deeper into the situation, we see rounds and rounds of social unrest is actually going around those election years. Like a few of the election years before and around it, we can see wave and wave of different anti-government or packaged social unrest or protests around it. And then we see the Occupy Central, and then we see what happens in 2019. And over all the incidents, a lot of people sort of starting to understand, well, this is not okay. I mean, for people to choose a city to stay and to call them home, it needs to be a very safe place. As you mentioned about the business sector, they need to know that investment in the city is safe and it's going to prolong and it's going to build up, right? And what happened is during all those situations, a lot of people say, well, this is not okay. Especially in 2019, you see a lot of the violence going around town. They're burning down buildings, transportation systems. They are bashing up people with different views, just doing that like a daily basis. A lot of business were saying, well, this is not okay. Maybe we need to move out. That's why, hence, a lot of people actually moved down to Singapore. Or this is something, it's a factual effects to Hong Kong's situation. But then now, since that we enacted the what I call the baby version of the National Security Law a few years back, it only covers sedition, secession, foreign intervention, and terrorism, right? Four kinds of laws. And what happened is the town is getting much better. When my friends visit Hong Kong, they told me, I remember back in 2019, because I was having a miscarriage, so my friend fly down from Malaysia to come and visit me. And I say to him, well, which hotel you're staying tonight? He said, well, no, I'm flying back today. And I was like, why? You're flying in from Malaysia, and then why are you going back today? I said, well, I see a man got burned down in the streets. I feel very scared, so I just want to visit you to make sure that you're okay. I'm going back tonight. So that was the situation, how people see and perceive Hong Kong during that time. And this is not okay for anyone to build their business or call this place a home. But now we can see the number. We have 250 million funds flooded into our stock market. 351 international and mainland companies actually set up in Hong Kong after enactment of our national security law. And what happened is even AstraZeneca was planning to set up their R&D centers in Hong Kong. So if we see a lot of Western politicians, right, saying, "Oh, this is not safe. Hong Kong is dying." Then why are these people so well-developed countries and well-developed like businessmen choose Hong Kong to come back to Hong Kong to invest?
Good question. Good question. Let's leave it there for the time being. Nixie, I wonder, what is your take on this? Why do you think Western governments, especially the United States, have been, and their government and their representative in Hong Kong have been particularly vocal, expressing concern about this legislation? What do you think why do you think that they are so concerned about being under the jurisdiction of national security laws in Hong Kong?
Well, I think it's an undeniable situation that the U.S. and the Chinese government is in a rivalry right now. As Mr. Cameron just mentioned, the U.S. government's been trying to use a lot of different methods to trying to attack, especially using Hong Kong as a battlefield, I would call it, to do this rivalry. What happened is we in Hong Kong is a very international city, and they're trying to use all the other ways to try to attack Hong Kong to prove that they're doing it right, and then China is wrong, and this and that. Same to the situation where what happened is a lot of the investment. I spoke to some of the financial sectors representatives, and they are saying that a lot of U.S. companies were told on the table to say, well, you shouldn't have any China or Hong Kong related stock intake in your compositions and things like that. That's like things like investment. A lot of the company were asked to provide China Plus versions. That means if you can't do it in China, can you move it to Southeast Asia and things like that. That is what has been happening since the social unrest in 2019. And on top of that, when we're talking about double standards, I think a very vivid proof is that we see a lot of previously a few months ago, the U.S. Senators were calling to sanction our judges and also to sanction our professionals, legal professions, to make sure that things play with a line of the game. What happens is if you are so respectful to the fairness and so respectful to laws and regulations and things like that, why are you asking to sanction the lawyers and judges that is doing their own job? I think they're international. They're not like some. They're not like Jimmy Lies, just like acting as like their puppets, right? Just doing whatever they asked to do. So what happened is we can see very clearly their intention just to pressure mainland China using Hong Kong. But what we're just trying to do our own job, and we are very reputable in the international market.
Finally, Lam, it's said that 3/4 of people, according to one poll, support this legislation. And according to the kind of feedback that the legislators got on the draft, 96%, over 96% of people gave positive feedback. What is your observation of the kind of popular support the drafting of this bill has among the ordinary people in Hong Kong? 1 minute, please.
Yes, I mentioned, I think just the amount of support definitely comes from what they experienced in 2019. It's a terrible experience as the city that you're living in, the situation that you're living in. Hence, when we are going around cities, speaking to a lot of businessmen, they say that they totally support, and what they want is for the government to get the bill done, and then to build up our economy better in this situation. So what they want is the livelihood, safeguarding their livelihood and safety, and make sure the city will boom again. So that is the common. I'm sure Mr. Cam will also agree with that. The people from the Two Moon will totally agree to focus into our economy and then to prospect our situations. It's not focusing on all of these.